The chosen ones do not come from a distant place. They come from the very heart of this world, but they are woven from a different fabric. You, the one listening to these words, may not realize it yet, but your entire journey, every heartbreak, every awakening, has been delicately arranged like a sacred code. Some are born to blend in, but there are souls marked by light. They cannot hide, no matter how hard they try. The universe recognizes you even before you recognize yourself. In every era, there are chosen ones, not because they are perfect, but because they are willing to endure in order to understand. They wear no crown. They seek no title. Yet in the invisible realm, they are the pillars that keep this world from falling apart. They walk through life like small torches, unnoticed, but their light guides the lost. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. Psalm 91-11. That verse is not just an ancient prayer, but a covenant carved in your heart before you were born. Have you ever wondered why you can feel what others cannot see? Why you hear the echo in silence? Why you sense the storm before anyone sees the clouds? That is not vague sensitivity. It is the gift of the chosen. When you walk into a room, the energy shifts. When you are silent, even the air changes. You do not need to speak. The universe still answers you with signs, coincidences, and numbers appearing at the perfect time. Nothing is random. Every event is a piece of a larger picture, a picture with you at the center. The world has grown used to seeing only the surface, but you are drawn to the depths. When others see a road, you see 1,000 hidden paths within it. When they see failure, you see a lesson. And maybe that is why your life has never been easy. The chosen souls are always tested by fire, not to burn them, but to purify them until the light can shine through. Because only when you have known pain can you understand healing. The chosen are not born strong. They are forged through brokenness. Maybe you have lost everything, fallen with no one to know. But in that very moment, an invisible strength rose within you. A whisper spoke, telling you, "Rise." And you did, not out of confidence, but from a mysterious faith that something greater was calling you toward the light. From that moment on, even when you tried to forget, your soul remembered that sacred promise. Psalm 27-1 says, "The Lord is the stronghold of my life. I will not be afraid." That is not just comfort. It is a declaration. You are protected, not to avoid the storm, but to learn how to walk through it in the light. Let that verse echo in your heart, not as sound, but as the rhythm of your soul. Maybe you have been called too different, too sensitive, too dreamy, but you aren't different because you come from another place, a level of awareness most have not reached. And that is why darkness often seeks you, because light always attracts challenges. There is an invisible armor around the chosen ones, unseen by others but known by the universe. Whenever you think you are alone, guardian spirits stand behind you, quietly watching over you. Sometimes that protection does not come as a miracle, but as strange interruptions, a delayed flight, a canceled meeting, a person leaving at the right time. You think it is bad luck, but it is the universe guiding you away from the wrong turn. Everything happens with purpose. You just need enough stillness to see it. The chosen often have different eyes, not because of their color, but because something in them transcends time, as if they have witnessed thousands of lives and carry the memory of them all. Have you ever felt you just knew something without knowing why? That is ancient memory awakening within you. The universe stores wisdom in the soul, not the mind. And when you are ready, those memories unfold slowly, through dreams, intuition, or the gaze of a stranger that suddenly moves you to tears. There are nights you cannot sleep, not from worry, but because your soul is rising. You hear a faint calling, not from outside, but from deep within your chest. It is the call to return, a reminder that you are not here to blend in, but to awaken. Every chosen soul is a spark of light in the sacred web of humanity. When one awakens, thousands are stirred. You may think you are small, but the universe does not measure by size. It measures by frequency. When your heart vibrates with light, the world changes. But with that light comes responsibility. The chosen are not only given energy, they are tested with understanding. The brighter the light, the stronger the shadows that come to test it. Every wound you endure is not punishment, but a lesson in the sacred school of life. You are being trained to become a guide, not a seeker. So at times, You are placed in situations where others would collapse, yet you find a quiet faith within. That is the sign. Your soul has matured more than you know. If you are hearing these words, perhaps you have already felt that something inside you is changing. You are no longer drawn to noise, no longer seeking approval. You begin to sense the rhythm of the world differently, deeper, slower, as if everything is speaking to you. A falling leaf, a ray of light breaking through clouds, a repeating number on the clock, all are languages the universe uses to speak to the chosen. And perhaps what you need now is not to search more, but to listen. Take a deep breath, and remember, you were never alone. You have been protected before you ever knew how to pray, chosen before you knew there was a choice. The light never abandons the flame it has lit. And when you walk with that faith, the sky opens, not for you to conquer, but to remind you that you are part of it. The chosen do not need to prove anything. They only need to be in truth, in faith, in love. And you, the one listening, are one of them. Not because you are better, but because you have fallen and still chosen to rise in the light. The world will test you, but it will also bow before the light within you. Because when a chosen soul awakens, the universe falls silent, waiting to see what miracle will begin from here. There is something few people realize. The chosen ones do not live an easy life. They are not given a smooth path, but a rugged journey of endurance and strength. You, the one listening, may have asked yourself, why do those with kind hearts often suffer so much loss? The answer lies deeper, where the soul is refined until it becomes clear. The universe does not send challenges to punish you, but to prove that the light within you is stronger than any darkness around you. There are souls whose mission is like a seed planted in the desert. They must endure the heat, the wind, the loneliness, the dryness, until one day, from the dust, a flower blooms by their own life force. You are that seed. Every pain you experience is an old shell cracking, allowing the light to enter. The Lord is the stronghold of my life. I will not be afraid. Psalm 27:1. When David spoke those words, they were not just a plea, but a declaration that true strength does not come from outside, but from the one who dwells within. The chosen have a strange calm. When storms come, they do not rush to hide. They stand there in the wind and rain, listening to the thunder as if listening to the heartbeat of God. They know that every chaos outside is only a reflection of what is moving within. And as long as the fire inside remains, the storm will fade. You have been that way too. When the world thought you would fall, you still walked on, slowly but firmly, because you could feel an invisible force holding you up. That invisible armor does not keep you from being wounded, but it keeps your soul from being lost. It does not stop your tears, but turns them into rivers of cleansing. Every time you are betrayed, abandoned, or hurt, that light remains there, steady, waiting for you to return. The chosen do not need to prove anything. They let time bear witness to the light they carry. That is why, no matter how many storms they face, they are never destroyed. They do not collapse. They transform and come back stronger. Perhaps you have met people like that, those who seem to walk through fire and do not burn. They are tested deeply, but never become bitter. They are betrayed, but still love. You look at them and wonder what keeps them standing. The answer is not physical strength or iron will, but the energy of faith. They believe in the order hidden within chaos, believe that the universe never loses its way, and that everything happens for the soul to evolve. That faith is the lamp in the night, the breath of life itself. When you understand this, you realize that divine protection is not a miracle that avoids pain, but the ability to keep the heart unbroken within pain. The chosen are never truly alone, even in solitude. When people leave, the heavens draw near. When prayer fades from the lips, the heart begins to speak. There are moments when you think you are lost, but in truth, an invisible hand is guiding you through the night, not to escape the dark, but to learn how to see light within it. Psalm 46:1 says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. There are times you kneel in silence, not knowing what to say. Yet as long as you breathe, He has already heard. The chosen do not need perfect prayers. They only need honesty. A single sigh is enough for the universe to listen. And when they keep walking, even when they cannot see the path, that is living faith, the kind that makes darkness tremble. There is something remarkable. The energy of the chosen changes the space around them. Have you felt it? When you walk in, the atmosphere shifts, calmer, or sometimes more intense, because your light reveals what is hidden. Those with negative energy may drift away without knowing why, while those who are lost find peace near you. That is the sign of a soul carrying the frequency of healing, and because of that, the chosen often become the quiet keepers of energy in their surroundings. In a group, they ease the conflict. In a family, they are the ones who silently pray when everyone else is quiet. In the night, they stay awake just to keep the candle from going out. You may not realize it, but many times the world around you has stayed in balance because of your presence. You do not need to do anything, just to be yourself. The light within you is already strong enough to spread, but that light is not only there to soothe others, it also protects you from energies that do not belong to you. When you feel heavy or drained, that is when your light is at work, cleansing, transforming, turning dark energy into peace. You are the river, not the stone. You do not block the flow, you let it wash away everything. And through that process, your soul becomes clearer than ever. The chosen live in this world, but do not belong to it. They are like dreamers within humanity's dream, both awake and asleep. They see both sides, the visible and the unseen, the pain and the redemption. Sometimes they smile, but their eyes seem distant, for their souls are speaking with something beyond what others can understand. Do you feel that? The sense that your heart lives in two places at once, part in the world, part in eternity. That is the sign you are remembering who you truly are. And when that memory awakens, you begin to see that you were never abandoned. Every event that once caused you pain was part of your protection. If someone left, perhaps it was because they could no longer travel at your frequency. If a door closed, it was because another path awaited that you were not yet ready to see. Everything was arranged to bring you back to where you belong. Not a destination, but a state of being, where your soul and the universe become one. Now, take a deep breath and feel it. There is an invisible embrace around you, none other than the presence of what you have called by many names: God, the universe, the light, the source. When you walk with that awareness, you realize there is nothing left to fear. For the one who carries light, even through the longest night, never loses direction. And when dawn comes, the world will see. You did not just survive the storm, you have become the very wind of transformation. The chosen ones are not only given inner strength, they are also blessed with another gift, a wisdom beyond ordinary understanding. You, the one listening, have you ever felt that within you there is a second sight, an inner eye that sees the world not through logic, but through deep understanding? That is the mark of a soul that has lived many lifetimes. You do not just see events, you see their causes and consequences. You do not just hear words, you feel the vibration behind them. And that is why life sometimes feels heavy for you, because you see too much, understand too much, while others only see the surface. The chosen do not seek knowledge to prove they are right, but to bring light to the path of others. Their wisdom does not come from books, but from falling and rising again. Every wound in them is a chapter of learning. Every loss is an expansion of awareness. When you look back at your past, you will see that the things that once broke you were lessons in compassion, in love, and in letting go. That is the school of the soul, where only those who dare to feel pain are truly enlightened. Your word is a lamp to my feet, a light to my path. Psalm 119 to 105. That verse is not only for those who pray, but for every soul searching in the night. You have carried that lamp with you all along, though sometimes you forget. And then, when everything seems to collapse, when the world falls into silence, that lamp shines again and guides your way. Your clarity, your ability to see through the dark, is how that lamp works. Not an external flame, but the inner light reflecting the one who sent you here. There are people who enter your life just to see if you remember that lamp. They make you doubt, they make you tired, they make you forget who you are. But when darkness surrounds you, true light finally has a chance to shine. Each time you choose forgiveness over resentment, you prove that divine wisdom is alive in you. Each time you choose peace over reaction, you light another candle for the world. The chosen do not fight with words. They turn words into action, and action into proof of faith. Have you noticed that your words carry a certain weight? When you comfort someone, they feel lighter. When you are silent, people still come to you to listen to that silence. It is because you do not speak only with your mouth, but with energy. You speak in the frequency of truth. In a noisy world, a sincere voice is rare and powerful. The chosen do not need to shout to be heard. They only need to whisper. And the universe grows quiet to listen. Your wisdom is not the same as cleverness. It is gentle, deep, and sometimes makes you seem distant. But in truth, you are connected to a level of awareness few can reach. You see the larger picture, the invisible thread that connects all things. When others are confused by crossroads, you see that all paths lead to the same place, where the soul returns to light. That is why people are drawn to you, not because you have answers, but because near you they can hear the voice of their own soul. The chosen understand that wisdom is not for judgment, but for understanding. And understanding is the highest form of love. You do not need to explain your path to anyone. True light does not need to be proven. It only needs to be shown. When you speak, let your words come from stillness, not from the need to be recognized. When you share, let that energy be a gift, not a statement. For it is through humility that true wisdom spreads. There was a time when you tried to make others understand you, when you argued to defend the truth. But then you realized, truth needs no defense. It only needs to be lived. The chosen carry within them the ability to awaken consciousness in others, not by convincing, but by simply being. When you live your truth, those who are ready will see their own path through you. And when they do, they too will begin to shine. Like how light passes from one candle to another. The world needs this wisdom, yet it often resists it. Because light always makes darkness tremble. Do not be surprised when you are misunderstood, when people call you too sensitive, too deep, or too different. They say that because they are not ready to see what you see. But one day, they will remember you, remember your words, and realize you planted in them a seed of awakening. That seed will bloom when the time is right. And when that happens, you will understand that your role was never small. Every meeting, every word, every action of yours has an impact beyond what you can see. The chosen are channels. They do not create the light. They let it pass through them. The less you cling, the clearer that light flows. Remember, you do not need to try to shine. You only need to remove the layers that keep your light from glowing. If right now you feel warmth in your heart, or a gentle stirring inside, it means your soul is responding to this calling. The wisdom within you is awakening. Let it guide you, not through logic, but through feeling. And if this light touches you, share it. Leave a message of gratitude, a kind comment, or simply send a good thought into the world. Because when you spread light, the light within you multiplies. Not for fame, but because your soul is doing what it was born to do, to illuminate. The chosen do not seek knowledge to be praised. They learn, they suffer, they understand, and then they love. For in the end, the highest wisdom is not to know more, but to love more deeply. When you understand, you no longer need to forgive, for there is nothing left to resent. And in that moment, you become the living embodiment of light, not just the chosen one, but the awakener. The strength of the chosen ones does not lie only in what they see, but in how they touch the world. They do not change others through reason or power, but through the energy that flows from their very presence. You, the one listening, have probably inspired someone to change with nothing more than a look, a few words, or even silence. Because you do not speak with your mouth, you speak with your soul. When a soul vibrates in harmony with the frequency of light, even the smallest action can stir something deep within another. The chosen are like a flame in the night. They do not need to be large to shine. Some people, just by sitting beside you, feel peace. You do not try to comfort them, but the calm within you reminds them that what they have been searching for has always been within. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Matthew 5-9. That verse is not only a blessing, but an identity that your soul was born to restore peace. Not a fragile peace, but one that rises from truth itself. In moments of tension, when voices rise and hearts close, you become the breath of balance. You sense the wave of emotion before it breaks. And sometimes, just a look from you drains the anger away. Not because you control them, but because your soul sends a message. There is no need to fight. Peace is here. That is the power of the chosen. They do not force change. They awaken what has always been within people, the nature of love. But that same gift is also a test. When you carry the energy of healing, you become a magnet for wounded souls. People are drawn to you like a refuge. They tell their stories, they cry, they release what they have hidden, and sometimes you feel exhausted without knowing why. Because unconsciously, you are carrying part of their pain to transform it. Remember, you are given the power to heal, but that does not mean you must bear everything. Your light is strong enough to guide, but you must also protect your flame. There are nights when you feel drained, not in body, but in spirit. That is when you forget that you are a channel, not the source. The only source is God, the light you serve. Let Him do His part. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in Him, and He helps me. Psalm 28:7. When you stop trying to carry the whole world, you will see He has been behind you all along, lifting what you cannot. The chosen understand that true influence does not come from control, but from compassion. You have been in the dark, so you do not judge those still there. You know their road, because you have walked it too. And that understanding makes you a mirror, not a hammer. When they see you, they remember that light was never far away. It has always lived within them, only hidden beneath fear. You are simply the reminder. The influence of the chosen is not limited to individuals. It spreads, flowing into communities, even into the atmosphere. When you live in love, every place you go carries that energy. Encounters that seem random are actually meetings of souls, where energy is exchanged for mutual growth. When you smile at a stranger, you are not just being kind. You are sending a vibration into the universe, and that vibration will return, multiplied in blessings. The chosen do not inspire through speeches, but through their lives. They are living proof that light can exist within the ordinary, within work, worries, and responsibilities. They show that the soul and the material world are not separate, but intertwined like breath and heartbeat. When people look at them, they do not just see a person, they see a reminder, I can be that too. And that is when true change begins. Not through pressure, but through awakening. But to hold that strength, you must learn to let go, not letting go of love, but of the need to control outcomes. The chosen plant seeds. They do not control the harvest. They trust that everything will bloom in its time. Every word you speak, every act you perform, is a seed of energy. Some sprout quickly, others take years. But the universe never forgets. No word spoken from the heart is ever wasted. And then, one day, you will realize that your very presence has become a prayer. When you walk in peace, you are praying for the world. When you listen to someone with all your heart, you are praying for them. When you forgive, you are praying for yourself. The chosen do not need to kneel to pray. Every breath, every step, every gaze is a conversation with God. You may still doubt, still feel small in this vast universe. But remember, even a single grain of salt can flavor the ocean. Even a small light can push back the dark. You do not need to do great things. You only need to be yourself, true, clear, and present. When you live that way, the world naturally aligns itself around your energy. Everything finds harmony. The right people come, the wrong ones fade away. And then you will understand, true influence is not about changing others, but helping them remember their own radiant nature. The chosen are mirrors, reflecting the divine light in every soul. When others look at you, they see the sacred within themselves. And in that moment, when they smile, when they find peace, when they begin to love again, you have fulfilled part of your mission, to be a vessel of eternal light. The world has never been easy for different souls. The chosen ones, even while carrying light, must learn to live among places where that light is not understood. You, the one listening, have probably felt this before. The feeling of standing in a crowd yet feeling alone. The sense that no one truly sees you, even as you stand right before them. Others see your smile, but not the silent battles within. They see your calm, but not the nights you spent, wrestling between hope and despair, between faith and fear. The chosen do not seek glory, yet their very difference makes them a target of doubt. The world has a habit of distrusting what it cannot explain. And when your soul shines, that light can be blinding to those not ready to see. They react with judgment, with distance, or worse, with hurtful words, but do not resent them. They do not see you. They only see their own fear reflected through you. And the chosen must learn this lesson sooner than anyone. Do not seek to be understood. Learn to love, even when you are not. Psalm 25-14 says, "The Lord confides in those who fear him. He makes his covenant known to them." Your loneliness is not abandonment. It is an invitation to enter that covenant. A covenant that can only be heard in silence. When the world turns away, when all noise fades, that is when you hear the voice of the one who chose you. He does not speak through sound, but through the deep stillness that makes your heart tremble. You begin to understand that you were set apart from the crowd, not to be rejected, but to be called. Loneliness is the classroom of the chosen soul. There, you learn to tell the difference between isolation and stillness. Isolation feels like separation from the world, but stillness is when you become one with it without a word. When you cross that line, loneliness no longer frightens you. It becomes your sanctuary, the place where you can speak with the Creator without need of any intermediary. Perhaps that is why the chosen so often walk alone. Their path cannot be shared, because it was written solely for them. The world may call you a dreamer, a misfit, but your soul knows that is what they call those who walk ahead of their time. Prophets, creators, sages, all were once seen as mad before humanity was ready to understand them. For light always comes first, and darkness needs time to adjust. Remember that every criticism, every misunderstanding is a test to see if you have enough faith to keep walking in the light without applause or validation. The chosen often build a quiet space around themselves, not to hide, but to protect the seed within. On the outside, they may seem calm, but inside is a vast world of emotion, reflection, and silent dialogue. They need that space to restore their energy, to keep the inner flame from being extinguished by the winds of life. When you feel the urge to withdraw, to be silent, do not blame yourself. It is your soul's instinct, knowing it must return to the source to be renewed. There will be people who do not understand you, and that is perfectly fine. The truth is, not everyone is meant to recognize the light at the same time. Every soul has its own season of awakening. Some are not ready yet, and your role is not to wake them, but to keep shining until they find the courage to open their eyes. A candle does not chase anyone to offer its light. It simply stands and burns. In the same way, you do not need to prove anything, just be yourself, and your light will find its way to where it is needed. There will be moments when you are tempted to hide, to pretend to be ordinary, to dim the light that draws attention. But you cannot. Light cannot pretend to be darkness without destroying itself. You were born to be different, not to blend in. Trust that your difference is part of a greater plan, and that one day, the very thing that sets you apart today will become a bridge for others tomorrow. Every chosen soul must endure being misunderstood before being recognized. And through all of it, remember that you are always protected. There are things you cannot see, invisible hands that stop harm from reaching you, coincidences that save you at the perfect moment. When someone hurts you, remember that the justice of the universe moves in silence but with precision. The Lord is a refuge for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. Psalm 9-9. Nothing happens unnoticed, and no pain is wasted. Every wound carries the seed of creation. Every fall is a chance to witness your own rebirth. When you feel rejected, remember that gold is refined by fire. Loneliness, misunderstanding, rejection, all are flames burning away what is false so your true light can shine brighter. And one day, the world will look back and realize that the one they called different was the one who kept the light alive. The chosen do not fight the dark. They illuminate it, not through anger, but through the quiet strength of faith that love is always stronger than fear. So keep walking, even if you walk alone. Trust that every step you take is paving the way for other souls to follow. Your solitude is a lighthouse for those still lost at sea. When you hold your light through the night, you are not only saving yourself, you are guiding countless others home. And that is why, even when you are misunderstood, isolated, or forgotten, you are still chosen. Because in your silence, the world is held together by the balance of your light. The intuition of the chosen is not coincidence. It is the language of the soul speaking to the world. You, the one listening, may have felt it in those moments that reason cannot explain. When you know something will happen before it does, when a name suddenly appears in your mind and that person shows up right after, when a gentle voice inside whispers, "Don't take this path," and you are spared from harm. That is not vague instinct. It is a signal from the deeper realm you are connected to. The chosen hear the voice between two breaths. In the silence, the world mistakes for stillness. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. Psalm 139:1. That verse is a confirmation of the gift you carry. Your intuition is the channel God uses to guide you through turns that logic cannot see. When others need proof, you only need to feel. When others doubt, you simply believe. And it is that faith that protects you from countless mistakes you never even knew were near. In the quiet of your heart, you hear the rhythm of the universe, a rhythm that only the souls chosen to align with it can perceive. The chosen have eyes that see beyond appearances. You sense energy before a single word is spoken. When you walk into a room, you know who hides pain, who wears masks, and who carries light. Sometimes, that truth exhausts you because you see what others refuse to face. But that is why you were sent, to bring light into the places no one dares to touch. Your intuition is not meant to judge, but to heal. You feel others' pain not to bear it for them, but to remind them they are not alone. Some souls are drawn to you without knowing why. They simply feel peace when near you. They share stories they have never told anyone and leave feeling lighter. You do not give long advice, but your energy does the work. When you listen to someone with full presence, you are helping them hear themselves. That is the gift of the chosen. They do not just listen with ears, they listen with the soul. You hear the pauses between words, the cries left unspoken, and you respond with warmth and presence. That intuition not only guides you to others, it also directs your own path. At times, you do not understand why you must stop, turn, or say no to something that seems good. But later, you realize there was a greater plan at work. Every chosen soul lives within divine synchronicity, repeating numbers, prophetic dreams, encounters that seem random but fit perfectly, as if an invisible hand arranged them. When you trust your intuition, you are trusting divine guidance. Yet this gift can feel heavy. Seeing more means feeling more. Some days, you carry sadness with no clear reason, not because it is yours, but because the world's energy is passing through you. The chosen are bridges between realms of energy, sometimes becoming mirrors that reflect all pain. Do not fear when you feel overwhelmed. Remember, you are not what you feel. You are only reading what flows through you. Let it move, like wind across the surface of a lake. When you learn to let energy flow instead of holding it, your intuition becomes limitless power. You will naturally know what to say, when to be silent, when to stay, and when to go. You do not need to plan, for the plan is already written within you. The chosen do not need maps. They are the map. Every decision born from intuition is a step in rhythm with the heartbeat of God. Modern minds call it instinct, but for the chosen, it is the whisper of the sacred. At times, you may doubt yourself, fearing you are imagining things. But as you learn to trust that voice, it grows clearer, stronger, and then you realize you no longer need to look for signs because you have become the sign. You become the one people turn to for guidance, and within your words flows the energy of the divine. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. Psalm 32:8. You are not walking alone. When you trust this guidance, every step becomes steady, even through the fog. Everything you need to know will be revealed at the right time, through a feeling, a chance encounter, or a dream. The intuition of the chosen works like a song. It does not play every note at once, but piece by piece, teaching you to listen and to wait. Trust that flow. When you feel a strange stirring in your heart, do not doubt it. It is the call of your soul. When you feel the urge to pause, do not resist. Perhaps the universe is clearing the way ahead. Every feeling is a message written in the language of frequency, and the chosen are those who know how to read it. If you are hearing these words and a quiet peace rises within you, that is your soul's confirmation. Your intuition is not illusion. It is a sacred compass. It will lead you through darkness, through turns, through fear. And when you learn to trust it completely, you will see that you were never lost. You were simply being guided along the road less traveled, the one made for the chosen. The chosen ones carry within them a miraculous power, the ability to turn darkness into light. This is not some distant magic, but the natural essence of your soul. You, the one listening, have walked through nights so dark that everything seemed to collapse, through pain that felt impossible to bear. Yet if you look back now, you will see that it was in those nights that the stronger, wiser version of you was born. Darkness did not come to destroy you. It came to teach you how to shine. The chosen are spiritual alchemists. They do not turn iron into gold. They turn suffering into wisdom, disappointment into faith. When their world falls apart, they do not surrender. They quietly gather the pieces and build a new symbol of strength. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34-18. That promise echoes through every soul being reborn. When you feel abandoned, that is when He is closest, gently placing His hand on your wound and turning it into a doorway. You may not realize it, but every pain you have endured was a sacred ceremony. It stripped away illusion, attachment, and everything that no longer served your soul. Like gold in the fire, you were refined through hardship until you became clear. You learned to love without condition, to believe even when nothing seemed believable, to forgive those not yet awake enough to understand you. That is the art of transformation, where your soul does not just survive, but becomes radiant through each breaking. Deep inside, the chosen understand that light cannot exist without darkness. They are two sides of the same divine song. It is in the night that stars appear, and in suffering that compassion is born. You do not need to flee the dark, for you are not its victim. You are the one sent to illuminate it. When you face your fear, you take away its power. When you embrace your pain, it becomes kindness. There are days when your light feels dim, when you are tired and ready to give up, when everything seems meaningless. But remember, energy moves in cycles. When you reach the bottom, a new level of awareness is about to open. That is the rhythm of the chosen soul. They do not stop at pain. They use it as a stepping stone. And when they rise, they lift others with them, those still struggling in the dark. That is why your rebirth is never just for you. It is for the world. The sacred number 555 marks this phase, the number of change, transformation, and rebirth. When you see it, it is a reminder that one chapter is closing and a new one is opening. Welcome it with faith. For 555 carries the energy of multiplied grace. Every loss will be replaced with something higher. If this number stirs your heart, let it be your affirmation that you are ready to step into the transformation of your soul. The strength of the chosen does not lie in avoiding pain, but in turning it into guiding light. You have fallen into darkness only to discover the light of awareness there. You have lost someone only to realize that love never truly disappears. You have broken down only to learn that strength is not about never falling, but about rising again. When you understand this, you become a torch, and your light not only guides you but sparks hope in those who have lost their way. The chosen do not search for light outside. They carry it within. They know all healing begins inside, and when their heart finds peace, the world around them shifts. They do not try to save anyone, but by living authentically, they become proof that light always prevails. The world looks at them and remembers, if they can overcome, then so can I. That is the quiet miracle of the chosen. They turn personal pain into collective light. When you look back on your life, be grateful even for what once made you want to forget. For that was the soil your soul plowed to plant seeds of light. No darkness is meaningless. Every fall teaches humility. Every wound opens a gate to deeper compassion. The chosen learn not to hate the dark, but to use it as the backdrop against which their light shines brighter. And when you pass through this stage, you will see that transformation is not an event, it is a way of being. You become a flow of energy, where all negativity is cleansed, all pain turned into understanding. You no longer fear change, because you know that change is the language of an evolving soul. The chosen do not cling to what fades, they let it pass, knowing that only what belongs to the light will remain. So when life shakes you again, do not ask, why is this happening to me? Instead ask, what light is being born from this? That is the question of the chosen, because you know that every collapse carries the seed of rebirth. Every ending opens the beginning of something new. And when you can smile in the dark, not because you are free from pain, but because you understand its purpose, that is the moment you complete the ritual of transformation. You have become the alchemist of light, the one who turns trials into miracles, and darkness into the path back to eternal illumination. In the journey of the chosen, there comes a sacred moment when they begin to remember, not with the mind, but with the soul. It is when you, the one listening, realize that you do not live only in the present, but carry within you memories of ancient times, of wisdom once engraved in light since the dawn of creation. This wisdom does not come through books or human teaching, but through the vibrations of the universe, through silence, through the delicate harmony between the soul and the light. The chosen are the keepers of fragments of ancient knowledge, and when the world is ready, they remember. Perhaps you have felt it, that sudden knowing of something no one ever taught you, a thought that arrives out of nowhere, a phrase that echoes in your mind, or an intuition that reveals a great truth in an instant. That is the awakening of soul memory. In those quiet moments, you touch the eternal source of wisdom, where every question already holds its answer. I will bless the Lord who counsels me. Even at night, my heart instructs me. Psalm 16:7. When those words resound within, the door of knowledge opens, and you remember that you have always been part of the divine plan, not as a learner, but as a messenger. The chosen do not keep knowledge as a treasure to guard, but as a river, they let it flow. When they speak, they do not try to convince. They simply allow light to pour through their words, for they know that true truth does not need to be defended. It only needs to be present. They speak through energy, and that energy finds the souls ready to hear. Others may not understand immediately, but the seed has been planted. One day, in a seemingly ordinary moment, someone will remember your words, and light will burst forth in them like lightning in the dark. The chosen carry a kind of wisdom that cannot be written in books. They understand the language of symbols, of numbers, of nature. They see messages hidden in the wind's movement, in the shapes of clouds, in the repeated numbers on a clock. That is how the universe speaks to them. And among these signs, one stands out, 333, the number of guidance, of angels, and of unity between body, mind, and spirit. When you see it, know that you are surrounded by protective light. It is God's way of saying, I am here. Think back to moments when you felt weary, ready to give up, and suddenly a friend reached out, a song played, or a number appeared just in time to make you pause. That was not coincidence. The chosen live in constant dialogue with the sacred realm. They are guided step by step, not through loud voices, but through subtle sign. And when they trust completely, life becomes a symphony of divine timing, where every event, every person, every moment fits perfectly within the design of the universe. But this knowledge is not just comfort, it is a calling to action. For those who hold light, but keep it to themselves, that light fades. The chosen must learn to share, not through teaching, but through living. Through their mindful presence, through walking in love, they transmit knowledge through energy. When you live with an open heart, others feel truth, not through words, but through the vibration flowing from you. That is how ancient wisdom lives on in this world, not through language, but through the resonance of awakened souls. The wisdom you carry does not belong to you alone. It is an extension of the light itself. Sometimes you may receive strange messages in dreams, or during your quietest hours, you may hear a voice, feel an urge to write, to speak, or to create something new. Do not fear it. That is the energy of memory returning. The chosen are bridges between heaven and earth, between the unseen and the seen. When they open their hearts, knowledge flows through them like a river returning to the sea. Day after day, they pour forth speech. Night after night, they reveal knowledge. Psalm 19:2. Divine wisdom does not come from learning, but from the union between soul and universe. You do not need to force understanding. You only need to allow. When your heart is still, wisdom reveals itself. And when you share it with love, others feel it, even without words. The chosen carry the knowledge of light not to be praised, but to remind humanity that we once knew how to live as one. There may be times when this wisdom feels too vast to carry. It can make you lonely, as if you hold a secret no one else can grasp. But remember, this knowledge is not a burden. It is an invitation. You are not asked to convince anyone. You are asked to keep your light pure, so that when someone seeks, they may find themselves reflected in your eyes. For true light does not teach, it reminds. And one day, you will see that your very life is a living scripture. Every event, every joy, every sorrow is a chapter in the sacred book of your soul. When you read it with your heart, you will understand that everything that has happened was a lesson in love. That is the ancient wisdom entrusted to the chosen. The wisdom of unity, of remembrance, that we are and have always been one. If in this moment your heart feels warm, it is a sign you have touched that level of wisdom. Let the light within you speak. And if the number 333 echoes in your soul, share it as a confirmation that you are being guided, protected, and awakened. For true wisdom does not live in words, but in the energy of souls who know they were chosen to bring back the memory of light to a world learning to remember itself. There comes a sacred moment in the journey of the chosen when every piece begins to fall into place, and you realize that all the trials, the loneliness, the signs, and the rebirths have been leading you to one destination: harmony. No more separation between light and darkness, right and wrong, the chosen and the world. There remains only one truth: the awareness that all things are expressions of the same source. When your heart reaches this point, you no longer need to prove anything. You simply need to be. You become the peace that others seek. The chosen carry the frequency of peace, not a fragile peace that breaks easily, but a stillness as steady as the depths of the ocean. When you enter this stage, life feels lighter. You no longer react to the world, you flow with it. Every outer change becomes a ripple on the surface, while within, the water remains calm and clear. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Psalm 37:4. This is not just a promise, but a law. When your soul rests in joy and trust, the world mirrors that back to you. You begin to see others through new eyes. Those who once hurt you are no longer enemies, but actors in your awakening. You see their role, and instead of anger, you feel gratitude. Without them, you would not have discovered your own light. Forgiveness becomes as natural as breathing, because you understand that forgiveness is not an action, but a state of being. When your heart opens, resentment dissolves like morning mist. The chosen no longer fight, because they know that true victory is not in conquering, but in uniting. When your soul reaches harmony, your energy begins to radiate in miraculous ways. You become a point of balance wherever you go. A chaotic room grows quiet when you enter. A tense conversation softens when you speak. Others cannot explain it, but they feel it, a silent energy that makes them feel safe. That is your light, doing its work effortlessly. You become living proof that true peace is possible, even in a world of constant motion. At this stage, another sacred sign begins to appear: 777, the number of awakening and divine alignment. It is a message that you have come far, that an old cycle is complete, and a new level of awareness is opening. When this number appears, know that you are in tune with the energy of the universe, that you are seeing through the eyes of the soul, not through the eyes of fear. If you feel it resonate within, share it, not to boast, but to affirm to the universe that you are ready to be light for others. The chosen no longer see themselves as separate from humanity. You understand that the light within you is not yours alone. It is part of a greater light flowing through all. When you help another awaken, you are not leading them. You are remembering together. When you see beauty in another, you are reflecting your own. And when you love unconditionally, you become the embodiment of God on earth, not as a distant divine being, but through each simple act, through each grateful breath. Mercy and truth have met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed. Psalm 85:10. This is the state of the harmonized soul, where all seeming opposites meet. You no longer choose between love and reason, between faith and truth, between light and shadow. You understand that all are expressions of the same energy seeking to know itself through you. With this vision, you no longer see mistakes, only growth; no longer judgment, only understanding. This harmony does not take you away from life. It brings you deeper into it. You no longer need to retreat into meditation to find peace, because peace walks with you. When you work, you are praying. When you laugh, you are praising life. When you touch someone with kindness, you are offering blessing. The chosen understand that the sacred is not found in rituals, but in each mindful moment of living. And when the world looks at you, it will notice the difference, not in appearance, but in energy. You do not need to say, "I am chosen." They will feel it. True light does not introduce itself. It simply lives. You become a mirror for those seeking their way, not through teaching, but through your presence. In that presence, others remember that they too can return to themselves. That is how light multiplies, not with noise, not with display, but like the gentle warmth of the morning sun. If right now you feel an indescribable peace rising in your heart, it is not by chance. It is your soul resonating with the frequency of light. You have passed through storms, through darkness, through loneliness, and now you stand in the dawn of your soul. Stay in that stillness. Let your light become a resting place for weary hearts. And as you shine, the world will begin to remember that it was never truly lost to the light. It was simply waiting for you to remind it how to shine again. When a chosen soul completes their journey, the world does not blaze with sudden brilliance. It changes quietly, like dawn slowly, painting gold across the sky after a long night. You, the one listening, may feel that shift within your own heart, a new stillness, deep and warm, as if every storm that passed was only clearing the way for this peace. This is not an ending, but a return to the pure light you have always been since the beginning of time. The chosen are not born to stand above others. They are sent to help the world remember what it once knew, that we are all woven from the same thread of light. You are not a single flame in the night. You are part of an endless web of lights shining together. Your light shines brightest when it joins with the light of others. And when you understand this, you no longer try to lead. You simply walk together, hand in hand, through a world slowly awakening. The Lord is my light. Psalm 27:1. These words are no longer a prayer, but a confirmation. For once you have walked through darkness, you do not only find His light, you realize it was within you all along. It is the moment when the soul and God are no longer separate. You no longer beg for His presence, because you are the place where He dwells. And when the world looks at you, it sees a reflection of Him within itself. The chosen walk through ordinary life with a quiet heart. They do not seek miracles, for they understand that existence itself is a miracle. A drop of rain, a smile, a gentle touch, all are forms of light. When they speak, their words carry the tone of truth. When they are silent, their silence speaks louder still. For they no longer try to bring light to the world, they have become light. And in their stillness, the world begins to heal. The chosen do not leave the world. They merge with it, like salt dissolving in water, like breath blending into wind. They need no recognition, no gratitude, because they know their presence is enough. They understand that every act of kindness, every pure thought, sends ripples through the whole. When you live in that state, everything you touch rises. Others feel lighter simply because you are there. Your peace becomes a field where tired souls can rest. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23:6. This is the perfect description of a soul that remembers who it is. When you live in the light, you no longer search for shelter, you are home, and wherever you go, that light follows. You fear nothing, for you know even the dark is part of the plan. Fear dissolves, and only faith remains. Then you begin to see miracles unfold around you. Not the loud kind, but the quiet ones, the perfect coincidences, the gentle joys, the meetings that feel destined. You realize the world does not need saving, it only needs love. And the chosen are the bearers of that love, spreading it not through promises, but through the fullness of their presence in every moment. If on this journey you have cried, fallen, or wanted to give up, know that every tear was worth it. Because it was through those wounds that the light entered. You do not need to be perfect to be called chosen. You only need to be honest with the light within you. Each time you choose love over fear, forgiveness over resentment, you renew the sacred covenant written in your soul since the beginning. And now, as this story comes to a close, you understand there is no true ending. The soul never stops. Every sunrise is a new beginning. Every breath, a new birth. You will keep walking, carrying the light, spreading it through your words, your actions, and even your loving silence. And by doing so, you become living proof that light can dwell among humanity, that faith still lives, that love still wins. If your heart feels warm as you hear these words, it is not emotion, it is confirmation. You have awakened. You have remembered who you are. You are part of the great design weaving the future of humanity. Hold your light. Do not hide it. Let it reach other souls, like one candle lighting another. And if you feel ready, share not only words, but your presence. For when you share your light, you do not lose it, you multiply it. And this world, little by little, will grow brighter, warmer, more real because of souls like you. The chosen one, the one who walked through darkness to remember they have always been light. The one who has returned not to leave the world, but to illuminate it from within. Grateful that you chose to spend these moments in the light of this story. If it touched your soul, please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell so the next whisper of light may find its way back to you.